211, how can I help you?
211. Help starts here.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Hi there, I'm Tammy Schneider for the Kincardine District Chamber of Commerce, and welcome to Chamber Chat, where we get the opportunity to introduce you to some of our most interesting members and some of the cool things they have going on in their businesses and organizations. And today I have Aime Kim with me. Hi, Aime.
Hi.
Aime is a community support worker and job developer for Community Living Kincardine and District, and she's going to tell us probably what most of us don't realize is that October is National Disability Employment Awareness Month. Aime, take it away. Tell us about this month.
So this is the month of the year where we try to bring awareness to the community about disability and employment and diversity and inclusive hiring practices. What we really like to kind of give people information about is that 22% of Canadians identify as having a disability. So that's 1 in 4 Canadians living in this country right now who are disabled. And I mean, their unemployment rate is 6.9% compared to their non-disabled coworkers whose unemployment rate is only 3.8%. So they are very, very much an underutilized and underemployed population in our country. And the other interesting fact is that they actually make 5.5% less income on average than their non-disabled coworkers as well. So, I mean, Statistics Canada predicts that by 2031, we will have a 2 million worker shortage in Canada. So it really is one of those months where we work on increasing awareness to meet future labor needs of the businesses. Already we hear about, them not being able to hire enough people to fill the spots. So, I mean, people with disabilities, they can work, they want to work, and they want to make positive contributions to their workplaces. So it's definitely, a market of people that should be tapped into.
I really wanted to make sure we touched on that point too, because I can't think of a business locally, Ontario, Canada. I think it's a worldwide challenge right now, trying to find workers to come in. And here's this large pool of very supported individuals that are more than willing to work, that want to work, and we're not taking advantage of it. So tell us, our viewers today, why is it important? What's the benefit to workers who are hired for these positions?
Well, I think that it's been really well researched that for people to be, mentally healthy and physically healthy, they need to be making positive contributions to their communities, and they need to feel as though they're a part of something maybe that's bigger than themselves, and have like a purposeful activity to do during their day. I mean, it's not always about the money. It definitely, especially with inflation and grocery prices the way that they are right now, it certainly is a large part about the money. But it's also about, people feeling that they have value to somebody else or to an organization, because that contributes to all kinds of health benefits. And it also creates, communities for people, support networks, friendships. How many people do you know who met good friends at work? Mm-hmm. Right. So it gets people out of isolation. It gets them doing something purposeful within their day, and it adds to their bottom line so that they can have some kind of sustainable existence without having to tap into places like the food bank or places like, the St. Vincent de Paul, so that they can, pad their groceries for the month. They would be making that money instead. So,
I also think there's quite a portion of our ego that goes to being able to go and buy your own cup of coffee. to walk into a restaurant and get a cup of coffee and a donut and sit down and enjoy it and know that you earned that, or to go buy Christmas gifts for your family or your friends or anything like that. There's a lot of personal pride that comes with knowing that you put in the effort.
And there's a lot of personal pride in a job well done, and it contributes to skills that can actually relate to other areas of your life. So, the benefits are innumerable.
I was just going to ask you, I would assume it's just not as easy as finding a job opening and slotting a person into a position. Why don't you talk a little bit about what your organization does to support people who participate in the JobWorks program?
So because there are people that we support who have limited communication skills, they can have potentially limited social skills. A lot of people need help with the application process. They need help during interviews to answer the questions that are being asked of them. Some people would require almost a practical interview where an employer could actually, look at their skills in real time. So they need people that can advocate for them because, sometimes when you're working with somebody who has an intellectual disability, they may not have the words to describe all of the skills that they have or the talents that they can lend to an employer. So that's where JobsWork would come in, because we spend the time getting to know people. We spend the time getting to understand where their skills and interests and talents are so that we can help them to advocate for themselves to a potential employer, right? We also help people to navigate the online world of applying for jobs, because that whole system can be quite confusing for people. I also work with people who have limited literacy skills. That doesn't necessarily mean they can't do a job. It just means they can't read your posting that there's a job available. We also can go in with people and help with coaching if they need a little extra time or a little boost to learn a job. And we can help employers to recognize when an accommodation is needed and help find, innovative and creative ways to make those accommodations happen for people. Sometimes it's not always just about, getting a wider door to get into the building. There's lots of small accommodations that can be made for people. Maybe not an 8-hour shift. Maybe somebody can thrive in a 4-hour shift. Maybe somebody works better in the morning than at night. There's all kinds of, accommodations that can help somebody to keep a job that might not necessarily affect anyone's bottom line. But you have to get to know the person really well to understand how they work best and what kind of job they might work best in and what kind of accommodations might be needed in order for them to retain the employment that they got.
So it's fair to say that there's a whole lot of work that goes in before the actual placement.
Oh, definitely. I can spend anywhere from, 5 weeks to several months really getting to know somebody so that, we can match them to a job. And then the support doesn't end there.
Right. Let's talk about that. After the placement is found and somebody's put into a position, what's your role then?
My role is whatever it is needed to be. I can go into the business and help. I can provide some extra education on the side if somebody is struggling with something. I do workshops for employees. I can also come in and help with supervisory meetings if the employer is struggling on, a way to get a message across, or, they think they maybe said something and they're not quite sure it was understood. I can come in and assist with those moments. And I can help the job seeker or the employee to advocate for what they might need, but I can also help the employer to determine, what could be put into place to help if a situation isn't, 100% yet.
And I would like to point out too that these new employees, people put in placements, they're paid full wage, right?
Definitely. Oh yes, always competitive employment, always at the best, at minimum wage, right? Because people who are bringing their talents and skills to a business deserve to be paid for those things.
Absolutely. So who can access these supports?
So anybody who falls kind of under the scope of community living's mandate, which are individuals living in the Kincardine district area who have developmental disabilities. So anyone who falls under that umbrella is definitely welcome to send an application in for jobs work, and we will support you to the best of our abilities to find and maintain employment.
And how do you find your employers?
I usually just reach out. I've actually because I started as the job developer here in about 2017, and over the last few years, I've managed to connect with and chat with 150 different employers in this area. So really, it's just about, communicating, it's about educating, it's about, finding that right match for your business and making it work.
Can you mention some of the companies that are involved with the program right now?
Well, always, we have great relationships with McDonald's and No Frills. Sobeys has been a great supporter over the years. Bar Down here in Kincardine, you could probably think of several other people. I didn't write a list down, but, there are many, many inclusive hires, Shoppers Drug Mart, just trying to think off the top of my head here, but there's many.
That's a broad spectrum of employers.
Definitely. Trillium Court, actually, I should mention them. They're great. Even the small mom and pop shops downtown. You've got Weekends, who's a great supporter of this program, and Gordon's Pharmasave, Pentagear, like 2M Power. They're all wonderful. Wonderful participants, and they make it work because it's important. It's important for people to have meaningful work.
I believe that. And I was actually going through some of the literature that was sent out as well too, and came across some interesting statistics that you mentioned at the beginning of the interview. 78% of Canadians are more likely to buy from a business that hire people who have a disability. So that's 63% of consumers conveyed globally. They prefer to buy from companies that reflect their personal values and avoid brands that don't. That alone is a great incentive, I think, for an employer to open their doors to other options for employees.
Well, when you think about, 1 in 4 Canadians are directly affected by a disability, then you want to think about their families, their friends, their parents, their cousins, their nieces and nephews. Everybody is connected in some way to somebody who has an intellectual disability and who will treat businesses that have like diversity and inclusion practices woven into the fabric of their organizations. They will gravitate towards those businesses more because it hits close to home.
Absolutely. Now, if there's employers out there that are watching this, or perhaps people that are looking for positions, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you? Sorry about that.
That's all right. No worries.
What's the best way for them to get in touch?
Just reach out. You can call me right here at Community Living. I'm here Monday to Friday, 9 to 4, 519-396-9434, and my extension is 223. Happy to hear from anybody at any time, just to even start the conversation about how that might work for your business. If you're looking for work and you have a developmental disability and you would like some help, definitely reach out.
That's wonderful. Aime, thanks so much for joining us today. I really appreciate learning about this initiative, National Disability Employment Awareness Month. Employers, you know how to reach Aime, or if you're looking for a position and you need some assistance, certainly reach out as well to Community Living Kincardine District. Aime, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll be right back.
My Uncle Cheney was one of over 150,000 Indigenous children that were taken to residential schools between the 1800s and 1996. My uncle ran away from school wanting to get home to his mom and dad, and sadly he didn't make it and died of exposure. When Gord Downey found out about my late Uncle Cheney's story, he wrote Secret Path, a series of poems that became an album, then a graphic novel, a documentary, and a concert. Gord met my family, and together we formed the Gord Downey and Cheney Winjack Fund. Together, we are sharing Secret Path and other reconciliation resources with legacy schools, setting up legacy spaces across Canada, and hosting events like Secret Path Week to inspire all Canadians to engage in reconciliation. Before he left us, Gord asked us all to do something.
You're going to figure it out.
Will you join us? Together, we can make Canada a better place.
Unbelievable. You just never see that. What a shot.
The OHL on Rogers TV.
Lovely viewers, it's your host of On the Couch, Antoine El Hashim, reminding you to tune in for every episode of Season 9 of the longest running and most loved local queer talk show on Rogers TV. Check it out.
Hi, I'm Tammy Schneider with the Kincardine District Chamber of Commerce, and welcome back to Chamber Chat. So we're going to do a little bit of a 180 from our last segment. I want to introduce you to Tara Byle. And Tara is the co-owner of Heritage Fire and Furnace Company in beautiful Tiverton. Hi, Tara.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for joining us. I wanted to say I have been out in your showroom a number of times, and I love walking in there. I don't know if it's all the fireplaces or the stoves, but everything about it just makes me feel cozy. So you've really got something there for just about every space and place, don't you?
We really do try to have something for everybody. And yeah, we try and make it cozy in here because it's bad for business if it's cold in here, eh?
Good point. Good point. So you go from like the modern, the really mid-century look, you go like kind of to the old-fashioned wood stoves.
Yeah, we try and have a little bit for everybody, wood and gas. We do some pellet. We do like space heaters, furnaces, water heaters, kind of a little dabbling in everything.
Oh, good for you. I have to ask you now that you mentioned that, what would you say is the most popular right now for people that are purchasing stoves? What method of heat?
Well, over COVID, it was interesting. It was about 50-50 gas and wood. Now that there's a little bit more uncertainty with things going on, wood has definitely shot up. I'd probably say it might even be taking a lead. We're kind of seeing how it's going. It's going to be an interesting fall because the natural gas is kind of wrapping up now. But yeah, a little bit of political uncertainty, a little bit of like financial uncertainty for a lot of people. So
I have to wonder too, what is this crazy weather? What does that get people in a mindset where like when it's 30 degrees and I'm out there sweating, I'm not thinking, gee, I should get a fireplace installed or get my wood ordered. But do you see that reflected too? Or
this weather isn't really good for business. But I'm not complaining. I will take this weather as long as I can have it. But yeah, it definitely, people are not thinking about winter. It makes me a little bit nervous because everyone's going to start calling at once and then nobody wants to wait, right? So
right.
Just managing that.
Right. I guess when the snow falls, then that's when it really starts to click with everybody. So our best advice is get your calls in now, get your orders in now.
Yeah, I mean, sooner is always better because then you have a little bit more flexibility with times and stuff.
So your showroom, I know obviously by all the models you have in there, you sell fireplaces, wood stoves, you said heaters, water heaters, all sorts of things. What other services do you offer besides just selling people equipment like this and installation, I would assume?
Yeah, so we do installations, we do services, both wood and gas, and furnace, and we do installations of fireplaces, wood stoves, wood fireplaces, gas stoves. We've done some range hookups. We're pretty open and versatile. It just depends on kind of like the scope of the job, and a lot of them actually are more of an on-site kind of checking thing. A lot of people want, how much is this? And it usually requires an on-site visit where a technician comes out and assesses what's going on. As you can imagine, both gas and wood have pretty strict restrictions on like the rules and code compliance and stuff. So Yeah, we kind of dabble in a few different things.
I would think that, and maybe most people don't think about that when they're looking to install something. They don't realize that the government does have rules around, and I mean, I'm not versed in them. I'm sure you are, about how far away from walls they have to be and what kind of buildings they can be in, that sort of thing.
Totally, yeah. And the tricky part is that it's usually each product has its own regulations, so it's not like an overarching. So that gets a bit tricky as well.
So part of your job, I would say, is education as well too.
A lot of education, yeah. A lot of troubleshooting over the phone, trying to help people without having to send a technician out. Yeah, it's pretty good.
When it comes to things like service, how often do you recommend that people should get their appliances or their units inspected? I know we've always had a wood stove, and we've always sent somebody out to give it a good cleaning in the spring after we've done a winter of burning in it. Is that generally your recommendation, or what else do you tell people?
Definitely. If this is a main source for you, definitely should get it checked out every year. Ideally, you would get it checked out in the spring or summer, not the fall when you need it. A lot of people like to wait till the fall, but then that's kind of when you need it. So if anything's wrong, it just takes longer to fix it all.
So for somebody
can we turn the other one down too? Sorry.
For somebody that's having one of these units installed, what are some things you could tell us about that are things to do and then things not to do?
Well, a lot of people who are on propane like to turn their propane tanks off over the summer. And that actually is one of the big causes of trouble startups in the fall, because all of your propane bleeds out of the line from your tank to your gas unit. So when you go to light it in the fall, it takes significantly longer because there's no fuel in the lines. So bleeding the lines can take a long time. It also can cause corrosion if you don't have your pilot light going and little spiders and stuff in there. And so that can be a little bit of a problem for a lot of people. Sorry, I'm just moving while Lucas is answering the phone.
No problem. And I guess the same thing goes too, right? Is you need it when you need it. And when it's not working, then they're on the phone too.
And I understand wanting to turn your propane tanks off. Nobody wants propane to escape and stuff, but I would reassure you, and I think the propane companies would reassure you, that your tanks are very safe. But if you want to turn off your appliances for the summer, you can turn it off right at the shutoff valve, either in the house or by the appliance. And that usually helps alleviate those kind of issues a bit more, at least.
Terrific. Any other pieces of advice for people who have appliances like these, units like these at home?
Well, I would definitely say try starting them now when you don't need them.
Right.
And that way, if there's an issue, there's a greater chance of getting out before you do need them. A lot of things for wood burning, actually, it's important to remember that if your house is warmer than your chimney, your house is going to behave like a chimney. So getting a really good paper and kindling fire going to warm up your flue so it reverses the draft. We get a lot of calls at this time of year about people who are like, my chimney is clogged, the smoke is filling the living room, and usually it's because the air pressures in the house have reversed the draft. So if you can get your chimney nice and hot, then that will alleviate that problem.
Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
Now, if people were calling today, if they decided they wanted to have something installed, best to call you as soon as possible?
Yeah, definitely best to talk to us as soon as possible. We are working not only with our own timelines, but manufacturers also are getting busier and busier, right? So, I mean, if you call now, we can definitely get stuff in before Christmas, which is usually the sign everybody wants it for. But yeah, if you're calling me in like the end of November, December, it might be trickier to get it in a more timely manner.
How long does it take to install a wood stove, a gas appliance?
Usually, like if you had a wood stove or a gas fireplace or whatever with their venting and everything, we usually get in and out there in a day.
Oh, that's pretty reasonable too.
Yeah, very reasonable. It's pretty non-disruptive. We come in, we do our thing. They lay out tarps and everything, so everything stays nice and clean. And frequently we're told you wouldn't even know we were there.
Is there a wait time if you order something? If I were to come in and order, I know you have those lovely flush gas fireplaces with the brick running up the wall. They're so beautiful. Is there a wait time now for manufacturers? I know some other suppliers have had extended wait times where it makes getting some of those units a little more challenging.
Yeah, it's pretty good right now. If you did a cash and carry, usually products are here in about a week. Mm-hmm. Obviously, different products might be more popular than others, so it might be a bit longer. But usually we get stuff within a week.
Very good. I noticed from your website that you carry more than 20 different brands.
Do we really?
Yes. I was very impressed. Well, it's probably, there's quite a variation in price for one thing.
Yes.
And in sort of the aesthetic look of a stove. Some are very functional, like you might tuck into a little cottage corner, and other ones are sort of the showpiece of your living room, so you want them to look very nice. Do you connect with other tradespeople in order to do like brickwork and that sort of thing to really gussy up those walls?
Yeah,
I can see behind you, you've got one, looks like it's put into the wall over there.
Yeah, so we do try and be a one-stop shop for all intensive purposes, but we do have some contractors we recommend if it's above our skill set. Mm-hmm. This, unfortunately, was a brick wall that was made with this building. Mm-hmm. But we did cut a hole in it to fit this fireplace in, and I believe there was already a hole there for this one. But I mean, if you look over here, we did this stacked stone fireplace and built it all out, and then further in the showroom. Can you see it?
That's just stunning. The brickwork, I love.
Yeah,
it.
so
see the stoves.
Yeah, and there's this new drywall finish, which is really popular right now. Very clean. We've been doing a lot of those kind of things. So yeah, there's depending on what you want. Again, it's kind of an on-site thing. The guys can come out, and they're really trustworthy guys. They also are living on budgets, as we all are. Mm-hmm. So we try and be as fair as possible. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Would you say there's one model that's more popular than the other?
Well, for wood, the Super 27 from Pacific Energy is by far our most popular wood stove. He's kind of just like the basic, no muss, no fuss, perfect for heating a 1,500 square footish home. I've had one in my house. It was fantastic. There's just nothing like wood heat, as anybody would say. And then for gas, probably like a Regency, like G800, which currently has the sale right on. You can get like a vent kit to go with it at a really discounted price. So those are really nice. And then this one is my new favorite. It's one of those big open fireplaces with the guillotine glass and screen. Those are kind of like the big show Christmas morning wood fires. Not efficient, but I mean, you don't drive a Porsche for its efficiency.
Very good point. They're just all gorgeous, though, I got to tell you. Just love them. Now, I don't know if I mentioned it at the beginning, but this is a special year for you.
This is a special year. This year marks our 10th year after taking over from Nathan's father, Marshall. So that's pretty exciting.
Celebrating that. And I think, I took a quick look, they were around probably 30 or so years before you. Like
I believe Marshall started.
Established family business, isn't it?
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line. Email us or connect with us on social media.
On the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, we encourage Canadians to pause and remember all that veterans have sacrificed for us. Lest we forget,